My name is Linda Soretny-David, and my husband and I are budding landowners. Actually, I want to add something to that. I've always thought that recreation should be for everyone, and not just for hikers or bikers or equestrians. But my question specifically is, how wide is the swath of land that the state specifically owns? I see 14 feet and varies here. What does varies mean? And is it a consistent width the entire way? How much of that width are you using? And if on the unused width, is the state, again, having any type of a right-of-way or a buffer on the sides of this?
Mark? Mark?
Yeah, the trail as proposed is, the attempt is to make it 14 feet consistent.
How much does the state own, though?
The right-of-way that the
Yes.
DEP owns,
Yes.
and again, I'm representing DOT, but just on behalf of DEP, the right-of-way that the state currently owns as the Airlines Trail State Park varies. It meanders. If you check your records at your town hall, you'll see that the right-of-way ranges from 150 feet wide to 50 feet wide at maybe some bridge crossings, for example, and then it widens back out, and it meanders like this. So that's the general answer. If you're talking about a specific location, I have to pull up the map and check. And some of the alignment obviously is on a curve, so the tangents are a little different, but in general, it was a double track wide railroad that's set at 150 feet. So we generally kept it at 150 to 75, 100, it's right in that range.
Okay,
But
thank you.
there, yeah.
And just, can I take 1 second and recognize First Selectman Alan Cahill from Hampton? Alan's in the back. Thank you, Alan.
Good evening.
Yes, sir.
My name is Rob Mann. I live in Thompson, where they've been working on this trail. I didn't make the last meeting that they had, but ours said the same thing. It said the work was gonna start in the fall. Well, I walked the trail last Friday. The work's begun. The trail's about 22 to 24 feet wide. With their grading, they filled in a foot of 2 feet, sometimes with some crushed stone. They've done drainage work. I have all pictures of it. They've done drainage work. Some of it looks like wetlands. They've definitely, there's a drain there. They say there's no bridges in this project. Here's a picture of a bridge right along the airline trail. There's no bridge. It's gone. They're gonna have to fix this. You can't bike over 4x4s. I mean,
There's no bridges in this section.
in this section, there's no section. Like you said, the funding's all together, so there's gonna have to be, it's gonna have to be funding for bridges too in our area. But, I mean, there's no DEP permits hanging anywhere. There's a marsh that's less than 10 feet from the trail in some spots. I mean, we're held as citizens to a certain, way to do things. We have to put hay bales, we have to put buffers. I don't see any of this going on this project. Why? That's my question. Why?
I'm not familiar with that
I'm not
section.
upset, I wanna know why it's not.
All we're doing is cleaning out the drainage ditches that already exist, that have been filled in over the years.
You've installed new drains though, and you've actually dug down. I mean, it's not just grading.
There was one drain installed, and that's not part of this project, that's us working on it on our own because it's a state park, just like we maintain the other state parks. So we've been working on it for the past 3/4 of the year, so.
Mark, you want to add something?
No, Rob, I appreciate your question. I just wanted to make that clarification.
I mean, it's a conservation project, that's what, they call it conservation, but yet I see destruction.
Right, I just wanted to make the clarification that work that Lori just mentioned that's been going on is not part of this project or part of any of this funding that we've seen here. This is yet to get started. That's on the same trail, but it's not part of this project. For example, I just wanted to make it clear to everybody, I know we talked in generalities about the project limits being from Route 203 in Wyndham to the Hampton town line.
For these
For
three towns. For these
This
three
is a
towns.
Connecticut Environmental Energy Project, is that what the one near me is? That's the equipment they're using.
Correct.
Energy and
Okay.
environmental.
Or DEP
They merged.
is the, right. But I just wanted to make it clear that, the project we're talking about here tonight, these three towns, is the same project we talked about in Putnam for those three towns, Pomfret, Putnam, and Thompson. So we're talking from Route 203 in Wyndham to the Massachusetts state line. Now, when I say that, there are sections within that alignment that aren't being done as part of this project for various reasons. One, the state's already working on it, in the case you brought up. Two, there's some sections that the towns have already worked on, gotten other grants to work on, and they've resurfaced them. So when this project gets to those sections, they're gonna skip over that. Obviously, they're not gonna redo
Yeah,
that.
this is the section that runs from like Route 193 in Thompson
Right,
to the Douglas State Forest.
right.
It's almost done.
Yeah, they widened that out. I think they've just graded it, but not surfaced it. Not rolled it and compacted it, put down in.
Yes, that's right.
Right. So there's, when we talk about this big $836,000 project from here to there are sections that we're skipping. Downtown Putnam obviously is being skipped, from Town Farm Road to Route 12 in Thompson. So there are some sections that either A, have been done, B, are too environmentally sensitive to tackle as part of a maintenance project, which is what this is. So they're being skipped to be done in another phase in another day, because it takes many, many months to get the permits to do that maintenance. So it's not a continuous project from point A to point B. There will be some hops and skips in there. There are some bridges, for example, that in the area we're talking about that are right now just, they look like the Boy Scouts might have built them, just
There's
6 feet
nothing there
wide
in
or
this
whatever,
one.
right? Those aren't being addressed as part of this project, but obviously need to be addressed. And DEP is addressing them through a whole nother project, because we can't tackle bridges as part of this maintenance project. There's just not enough money to
And
tackle
that'll
that.
probably be state funded also?
Most likely, it'll either be DEP labor forces going out there and buying some lumber and redoing it, or it'll be a regular project and it'll cost fund, yeah.
And the only expense that I just one more thing if I can. have
Okay,
time.
yep.
The only other thing is, there's no expense because the state's paying for this project, but the expense is gonna be passed on to the towns. This is a whole nother thing. Through, somebody gets hurt on the trail. The local fire departments, but there's so many of them throughout this trail. They're gonna have to have keys to these gates. They're gonna have to have vehicles that can go on these trails, you know, to take people out if they wipe out on their bikes or are injured. So there is gonna be expense to the towns. You know, there already is, when somebody gets hurt on an ATV that's not supposed to be there now, that expense is already there. But there's gonna, if we're gonna bring in people from other towns to use these trails, the expense is gonna go up to help people if they get hurt. Facilities is, you know, there's no facilities where I live on this trail, you know.
Right.
And that's,
That's a fair point. And I'll also add to that calculation that the town's chief elected officials had to consider all that, right? And they also had to consider the projections of economic development that might come from the increased users. They had to also calculate the positive impact on local businesses that may or may not be patronized.
we're in a quiet corner, we don't.
No, I know, I believe
We
you.
don't want any more business, we like it quiet.
But yeah, those
Okay.
calculations had to be done.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yes, sir, in the blue.